Some love stories inspire the world, and then there are the ones that make us stop and rethink everything we thought we knew about love. We're partners in life, partners in work, and companions in everything. There's only one thing we're not. What's that? Married. That's how Goldie Hawn once summed up her relationship with Kurt Russell, a bond that has lasted more than 40 years without rings or vows, yet stronger than most marriages in Hollywood. But then, at 79, during what seemed like a simple conversation, Goldie Hawn shocked all of Hollywood. She shared a truth she had kept to herself for 40 years. "I never wanted to marry Kurt, because I was afraid that if we did, we might lose each other." It makes you wonder, does love really need a wedding to last a lifetime? And maybe it was that very fear of losing one another that kept them together for 4 decades. Drop a comment with 1 if you relate to Goldie Hawn, or 0 if you see it differently. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel, because every great Hollywood love story has a hidden truth, and we're here to bring it to you right here. In that quiet moment, Goldie realized that some wounds never truly heal, they just lie dormant beneath the surface, waiting for a word or a memory to reopen them. She knew she couldn't shield her children from every pain, because the sorrows of adults inevitably seep into a child's heart, leaving invisible scars that time cannot erase. At night, she would sit alone by the window, gazing at the distant lights of Los Angeles, the same city that had witnessed both her triumphs and her heartbreaks. She understood then that time could soften almost everything, fame, beauty, glory, but it could never erase the marks left by love and loss. Deep inside, she remained the same woman, a mother, a lover, a survivor, a woman who had loved with all her heart, who had endured unimaginable pain, and who carried not just scars, but the quiet, enduring strength that only comes from a life fully lived. It was the silence of 2 strangers living under the same roof. In her journal, she wrote, "I never betrayed him. I just wanted to be myself, but it seemed like he didn't love that version of me." By 1979, their marriage had begun to crumble. Bill went on tour while Goldie stayed busy filming Private Benjamin. The distance between them grew until it became irreparable. Each time Bill returned home, he no longer saw the gentle wife he had once loved. And when Goldie looked at him, all she saw was a man angry at the world. She confided to a friend, saying, "I tried my best, but maybe happiness never chooses to stay with me." In 1980, Bill filed for divorce. She once said with haunting honesty, "In Hollywood, once you hit 40, people think your career is over." That statement resonates not just for her, but for every woman who has ever felt abandoned by time. Yet she never faded. Not Goldie. Behind the glamour, she was still fighting not just for roles, but for peace within her soul. The anxieties that haunted her as a child never fully disappeared. Fame didn't soothe them. It only magnified them. There were nights when she would sit silently in front of the mirror, tears streaming, telling herself just to breathe. There were mornings when she wondered if the image the world admired was slowly swallowing the person inside her. This reunion wasn't just a brief encounter, it was a turning point in both of their lives. Each carried stories, each carried pains that time had failed to erase. Kurt was no longer the insecure young boy he once was. He had grown into a strong man, shaped by life's invaluable lessons. He no longer feared failure, and that was why he found his way back to Goldie. Goldie, meanwhile, was standing at a crossroads, raising her children and carrying the emotional scars of love that refused to heal easily. Her heart had been broken too many times, and every time she opened it again, fear and doubt followed. But in that moment, as she looked into Kurt's eyes, she knew life was testing her once more. But inside that house, there was only a woman learning to breathe in the emptiness. Despite the outward shine, Goldie still had to face the undercurrents of her soul. Sometimes, in the dead of night, she would wake from a nightmare, cold sweat beading on her forehead. She would return to the stage, where the lights dazzled the audience and the applause seemed endless. But when she bowed, no one was there. It was just her, standing alone under the stage lights, in the coldness of loneliness. That dream haunted her again and again, filling her with fear. In those moments, she realized the glow of fame was never meant for those who longed for love. No matter how high she rose, she still felt a profound emptiness. The lights, the applause, they couldn't fill the void in her heart, a void only true love could heal. They sat beside each other on set, exchanging a few brief words, yet the silences between them were full of meaning. Together, they shared moments only those who've endured life's ups and downs could truly understand. Sometimes, words weren't needed. A glance, a gentle touch, conveyed everything. These silences were long, yet never uncomfortable. In those moments, time seemed to stop, and they were lost in each other's presence. As the soft evening light streamed through the studio window, Goldie smiled a genuine smile. Not for the camera, not for anyone else, but just for herself. "I love him," Goldie once said, "not because he loves me, but because he loves my children." That same year, they moved into a small house overlooking the sea in Malibu. Mornings were for making coffee together, evenings for watching movies after the children were asleep. No wedding rings, no white dress, no vows, just two broken people learning to trust tenderness again. Yet even in that peace, Goldie kept a quiet distance. Some nights, as Kurt slept beside her, she lay awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling, listening to the waves outside, afraid that if she whispered the word forever, the magic might vanish. All of Hollywood buzzed. They called Goldie and Kurt the oddest couple in America, living like a married couple, raising children together, but never marrying. In interviews, Goldie would often laugh. "Marriage is not my goal." It was a smile of freedom, a moment of relaxation after years of struggling with life. She was no longer the young girl she had once been. She had grown into a woman who had experienced pain, loss, and difficult choices. In that moment, looking at herself, Goldie realized she had found a part of herself that had been missing, a part she could only rediscover within her own heart. A few weeks later, Kurt invited Goldie for a drink at a small bar in Los Angeles. That night, they laughed more than they expected, perhaps because they had found a comfort and understanding in each other like never before. Their conversations, once hesitant, had gradually become natural and easy. That moment, though an unexpected mishap, became a chance for them to reflect on each other, on what they had endured, and on what still lay ahead. In a quiet, wordless moment, Goldie realized that nothing in life can be predicted, and that is what makes the journey beautiful. Everything can change in a single night, but that didn't mean they would give up. On the contrary, they would keep moving forward, facing whatever challenges life threw their way. This wasn't the first time they had encountered surprises, but perhaps it was the first time they faced them together, carrying old wounds and new hopes. In each other's eyes, they saw not just empathy, but a deep understanding of all life had brought them. And in that dark night, when nothing seemed to go as planned, they understood that these unexpected moments were an inseparable part of their journey. After 2 broken marriages, Goldie Hawn no longer believed in promises. In a 1981 interview, when asked if she was ready to love again, she offered a sad smile and said, "For me, marriage is a beautiful room, but it has no exit." Perhaps in that moment, the world finally glimpsed the woman who made everyone laugh but had long forgotten how to smile at herself. After 2 heartbreaks, Goldie thought her heart was closed forever. But fate, always fond of playing tricks, sent her a man who made no promises, yet quietly stayed. In 1980, on the set of Swing Shift in Los Angeles, 8-year-old Goldie reunited with Kurt Russell, the actor she had first worked with 17 years earlier in the original Family Band. Goldie laughed so hard that tears rolled down her cheeks. That laugh, born from chaos, was the first time in years she truly felt alive again. Later, she said, "We started our love with a small mistake. Maybe that's why it feels so real." Kurt never made grand declarations. He didn't promise to protect her, nor did he swear to love her forever. He simply stayed. He drove their children, Oliver and Kate, to school, watched cartoons with them, taught them to throw a baseball, and quietly cleaned the dining table afterward. No gifts, no speeches, just small, simple acts that once would have made Goldie cry in the darkness because, for the first time, someone was truly by her side without expecting anything in return. The media called her brave, but her friends knew it wasn't courage, it was fear. 2 breakups had taught her that sometimes the most beautiful promises are the very things that destroy love. Someone once asked, "Kurt, aren't you afraid there's nothing to bind her to you?" He simply replied, "No, because true love doesn't need chains." That answer left Goldie speechless. She thought she was the only one who understood the fear of losing someone, but here was a man who knew how to love freedom without walking away. From then on, Goldie and Kurt lived together as 2 souls who had finally found their harbor. No ceremony, no rings, no titles, just peaceful mornings, simple dinners, and quiet glances. Under the dim lights of the bar, they shared stories of everyday life, old memories, and unfulfilled dreams. As night fell, Kurt suggested stopping by her new house in Pacific Palisades, a fresh start, a private space where she could finally find the peace she had long sought after years of turmoil. But when they arrived, there was a problem. No key. Kurt decided to break the lock. The alarm blared, police sirens wailed, and flashing red and blue lights turned the night chaotic and tense. Yet instead of panicking, they simply stood there, looking at each other, sharing the disbelief and surprise of the moment, knowing that this, too, was just another part of life they had to face together. They had become living proof that sometimes the deepest love is the kind that doesn't need vows. Love that doesn't require words, public promises, or ceremonies, just the presence of each other. A profound connection that needs no formality. Yet on long nights, with the waves of Malibu crashing outside, Goldie still lay awake, listening to the whispering wind by the window. She knew the fear of marriage still lingered, buried deep like a wound that would never fully heal. That feeling, though faced countless times, never faded. And perhaps it was that very fear that kept their love strong, because sometimes, to hold someone close, you must accept that you may never call them your spouse. Not for lack of love, but because their love didn't need a title or a form. It was simply the deep understanding and silent respect they shared. The letter read, "If you marry me, you will lose yourself for the 3rd time, even if that person is me." It was written in 1990, the year she had planned to marry, only to cancel. When asked about it, Kurt simply smiled. "I never wanted to marry her. I just wanted to love her." A short answer, yet it silenced the world. Perhaps love had never been expressed so simply and sincerely. In her final journal, Goldie wrote, "I was never afraid of marriage. I was only afraid of waking up one morning and not seeing him by my side. I call that fear love." Today, Goldie and Kurt live quietly in Palm Desert, where the wind and sand weave through cactus-lined roads and the sunsets paint the sky purple. Perhaps in a world where it's easy to bind 2 people with a piece of paper, but hard to keep them together through love, their story stands as a rare and beautiful testament. Amid grand weddings and glossy magazine spreads celebrating picture-perfect unions, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell chose a quieter truth, a love without contracts, yet one that endured for over 40 years. They stayed, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Every morning, they woke up and chose each other again, and maybe that the choice to stay without ever swearing it is the most honest vow of all. A promise unspoken, yet written in every shared moment, every laugh, every silence between them. Years after she and Kurt began their life together, Goldie Hawn came to realize a profound truth, one perhaps only those who have lived through loss can truly understand. Sometimes, even the calmest happiness can become a mirror reflecting our deepest fears. On quiet mornings in Malibu, sunlight filtered softly through the curtains. Kurt sat reading the newspaper, Goldie poured coffee, and the sound of their children's laughter filled the garden. Everything was so peaceful, so perfect. It almost felt unreal. It was the kind of happiness she had dreamed of her entire life, the warmth, the stability, the sense of belonging she once believed could heal every wound. Yet amid that serenity, she felt a strange stirring inside her, as if that very peace was revealing scars she had never fully healed. Then, in February 2025, during an interview with Vanity Fair, 9-year-old Goldie Hawn finally revealed the truth she had carried in her heart for 40 years. Her voice was calm, steady, but tinged with fragility. "I didn't marry him because I was afraid of losing him," she said. The world went silent. People had always thought that not marrying was a symbol of freedom, an act of independence. But for Goldie, it was something else entirely, a quiet, lingering fear that putting love on paper might somehow make it disappear. Hollywood, for once, had nothing to say. And in that silence, the world saw her not just as an icon, but as a woman, one who had loved deeply, and who still trembled when speaking about love, even after a lifetime of living it. The media at the time called them the unconventional couple, a symbol of free love unbound by rules or ceremony. Whenever asked about marriage, Goldie would smile, a smile both calm and wistful, and say, "I'm afraid of weddings. I'm afraid that when people celebrate, something will break." The audience would laugh, thinking it was a witty remark, but behind her flawless makeup, her hands trembled. Her fear was real, born not from rebellion, but from experience, from seeing how promises once meant to last forever could collapse under the weight of expectation. To Goldie, true love didn't need a contract, because the moment love was bound, she feared it might slip away. In 1990, when the public was certain their long-awaited wedding was near, Goldie secretly planned a quiet ceremony in Aspen. The dress had been delivered, invitations printed, every detail in place. Yet just a week before the big day, she disappeared. No note, no explanation. Kurt searched all across Los Angeles, then flew to Colorado, where he finally found her sitting in a small wooden cabin, flickering firelight dancing across her empty face. She looked up at him and whispered, "If I marry you, I'll lose something that keeps us together." Kurt said nothing. He simply sat beside her, in silence. And in that silence, something unspoken was understood, that sometimes not naming a love is what allows it to endure. It was not the absence of a wedding that defined them, but the quiet strength of choosing each other every single day. She had everything anyone could wish for: love, family, safety, and yet deep inside, there lingered an ache she could neither explain nor share. It wasn't sadness, but a quiet emptiness, a shadow of fear she carried alone. She feared the silence after laughter, the stillness after joy, the morning she might wake up and find herself alone once more. But that fear, instead of consuming her, taught her something essential: that love isn't about the absence of fear, but the courage to hold on despite it. And so, in that little house by the sea, among the golden light and gentle waves of Malibu, Goldie learned to live not in pursuit of perfect happiness, but in quiet gratitude for the imperfect beauty of each ordinary day. The woman who once made the world believe in eternal love finally confessed that all along she had been living in fear of losing it. When reporters reached out to Kurt Russell for a response, he simply smiled softly, knowingly, his eyes filled with quiet understanding that needed no further explanation. "We still wake up and choose to stay every day," he said. A short, almost casual sentence, Yet it carried the weight of something far greater, a philosophy of love grounded not in grand gestures or promises, but in simple, steadfast commitment. Perhaps it was precisely because they needed no rings, no papers, and no witnesses that their love endured for 40 years, quietly burning, not in spectacle, but in warmth, not in noise, but in constancy. At the March 2025 Academy Awards at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, Goldie and Kurt walked onto the stage together. The golden lights shone down on their platinum hair and familiar faces. They were still radiant, but in Goldie's eyes, the light was softer, more tired. She held Kurt's hand tightly, trembling but steady, as if about to speak words she had carried for half her life. "Sorry," Goldie smiled. "I can't read the script. I've got cataracts now." The room erupted in laughter. But amid the laughter, Kurt never let go of her hand. That small, simple, quiet gesture was more beautiful than any wedding. Backstage, when a reporter asked how she felt, Goldie softly said, "I don't need anyone to call me his wife." "I just need to know that every morning when I open my eyes, he's still there." The statement spread across social media within hours, shared millions of times, a late yet deeply sincere declaration of love. A week later, in an exclusive interview with the Los Angeles Times, Goldie said something that left readers speechless. "Love doesn't die from betrayal. It dies from fear." A fragile yet sharp truth, revealing what she had carried for 40 years. She avoided marriage not for freedom, but because she feared losing love once again. In their quiet home in Palm Desert, someone discovered an old handwritten letter hidden in a drawer. The ink was smudged by tears. Time continued its silent march, carrying away the glitter of youth and the trials of fame, yet leaving behind the most essential truth of their bond. Then, one quiet day, the woman who had once made the world believe happiness required no ceremony decided to break her silence. At 79, Goldie Hawn finally admitted the truth she had carried for decades, that behind the laughter and bright public persona, there had always been a quiet fear, the fear of losing the one she loved most. And yet, paradoxically, it was that very fear that kept their love alive, tender, enduring, and far more profound than any wedding could ever promise. They no longer appear in public, only walking hand in hand in the evenings. When asked if she regretted not marrying after 40 years, Goldie smiled. "We never had a wedding, but maybe for 40 years, we've been married just without anyone witnessing it." And as the final light dimmed, the story of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell closed with a haunting question. Is marriage truly proof of love? Or is it just the name we give to the fear of losing it? 40 years together, without vows, without rings, without an altar. Yet Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell held hands, weathering every rise and fall of time. No witnesses at the altar, but millions have witnessed an unspoken marriage built on kindness, understanding, and trust. Their story, both tender and bittersweet, invites us to question the very meaning of love and marriage. Is marriage truly proof of love, or merely a way to soothe the fear of losing it? Goldie and Kurt remind us that love doesn't need a ceremony to be real. It lives in patience, in trust, in the simple act of staying when it would be easier to walk away. In a world where love often fractures under the weight of expectation, they show us that perhaps the truest happiness isn't about forever, it's about choosing to stay, again and again, even when no one is watching. And perhaps the love story of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell makes us wonder, does true love really need a grand wedding to prove itself? Or simply two people brave enough to stay together without a single promise? What about you? Do you believe in a lavish wedding filled with lights and glamour, or in a lasting love that doesn't need ceremony or vows? Leave a comment below with 1 if you resonate with Goldie Hawn, or 0 if you see things differently. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our channel where we bring you the most timeless, emotional, and authentic love stories Hollywood has ever known.